So I've grown up in the St. Louis area pretty much my whole life, except for going to Springfield for 5 years for college. My whole family's from here. I grew up mostly in like St. Charles area, lived in a little different places though, like O'Fallon, North County, St. Peter's, but now back in St. Charles area. So happy to be back. Springfield was a lot of fun, but once, everyone that I knew moved away, I felt like I had done everything I could do multiple times at that point. But getting to see like the Missouri State baseball team compete and then getting to watch like the Springfield Cardinals was really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would even say too, for the time, I just moved back about a month ago or so, but
okay,
down there and stuff too. I would definitely say that, those Springfield Cardinals games, those would be pretty exciting to see the prospects.
Oh yeah.
Get up to the bigs, isn't it?
Yeah. So like, I remember seeing Dylan Carlson a lot. I felt like he homered every game I was at, sometimes from both sides of the plate. And then I got to meet Yachty because he was leaving his rehab start and he shook my hand. That was pretty sweet.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Yeah.
What's he like in person?
He's awesome. I mean, it was literally the middle of the game and I noticed he started packing his stuff up and I was like, we parked in that parking lot back there. We should probably go check it out. Me and my girlfriend, and there was a big line of kids waiting for autographs. And Dan Ryder, the GM, was, escorting him out and he was signing for all these kids. And he stopped right in front of me, which I was kind of bummed because, like, you want that autograph as a memorabilia piece. But I grew up idolizing him. So I just was like, could I get a handshake? And he's like, oh, heck yeah, man. So he shook my hand and I played catcher and I loved gunning people out, thinking I'm Yachty back there. So that was, one of the highlights of me being down in Springfield.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Good story.
And how long have you been back in St. Louis now?
I've been back in St. Louis now for probably about a year and a half, maybe a little more. Graduated with my master's. I finished that up in 1 year. And everyone's like, do you wish you spread it out longer? And I was like, kind of. So.
Awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about how you got the tickets to Monday's game in terms of, being that first row in the bleachers. Had that just been in the works for a little bit or?
So I'd been talking about going for a long time. I had some buddies actually too from Illinois that were like, we should go so we can see Bo and Vlad and all those guys coming into town. Interleague play, you don't see these teams very often and it's a lot of young, exciting talent. So I was pretty stoked. I knew I was going no matter what, whether they came into town or not. And my girlfriend was like, well, I want to go because I've been going to a couple games just by myself because I got tired of waiting around, family or friends that are like, oh, I want to go. And then they wouldn't hit me back up soon enough and I'd miss out. So I'm like, I'll just go by myself. I'll make friends there. Cardinal fans are good people to talk to. And even the other team's fans that are there, it's just a good atmosphere to be around. So I bought the tickets actually the morning of. I kept putting it off. And I was like, if like Vlad or Springer or any of these guys like Arenado are going to hit a home run, it's probably going to be in this general area. And then I was kind of back and forth between going up a little higher or right there. And I saw the front row ones and I was like, we'll just sit there. There are 2 seats right there. That's perfect. And so that's kind of how that happened. And we joked because we were getting out of the car and I'm like, do I bring my glove from the trunk? Because I always have my glove in my trunk. And I was like, nah, I'm a grown man. I can handle it. I'm a big boy. I'll barehand it, use my hat, whatever. Well, then the 6th inning, Springer hits a freaking 114 mile an hour laser. And right at the very beginning, I kind of lose it in the lights. And then I see it and it's coming like straight for me. And then it takes a quick tail to the right. So I stick my hand out to try to catch it. And there's that black railing right in front of it, the metal rail.
Yeah.
It hit my like pinky finger and my ring finger into the rail. So then when my hand hit the rail, the ball just ricocheted way back over to the right. And I saw the gentleman that had gotten it. I actually introduced myself. I had a case in case I caught a ball to put it in. And I gave him the case and I introduced myself. He told me his name's Marty and we took a picture and he was super nice about it. And, we were just kind of laughing. He's like, sorry, man. I'm like, no, I'm glad someone got it,
Wow.
He's like, you got the assist. So that was pretty cool. And then, I couldn't believe it. I got up to go use the restroom and Juan Yepes hit a home run pretty close to that area.
Did.
A couple people over to the right. Funny story, on May 11th, he hit a home run right at my seat when I went to the restroom over the bullpen. So he's been making a habit out of that. So I guess I need to do that more often so he can hit some bombs. But I got to meet him May 11th after the game and after the game last night, leaving Busch Stadium. So that was pretty cool. So I was kind of bummed. I'm like, oh, who knows? Like maybe I would have been able to get over there and get it, my redemption shot. And I'm just laughing it off. My girlfriend's laughing like, what is our luck? We're standing in the nacho line, getting her nachos and watching it on the big screen, the replay. And then, the bottom of the 10th comes and Paul Goldschmidt hits a laser. And I lost it in the lights again at the very beginning for a couple seconds, which I didn't think would happen because these were so low. They're just line drives. And it's just coming straight from my girlfriend's seat. So I moved over to the left. She's like, what do I do? Earlier, she's like, what do I do if a ball's hit at me? How do I stay out of your way? I'm like, just sit in your seat and I'll stand in front of you. I'd rather it hit me than you. I'm not just going to stick my hand out because what if I miss it? I'm going to actually move and stand in front of you. And that happened. And, it was kind of low and I reached over the rail. And instead of having both hands kind of like this to close on it, I don't know what I was doing, but my right hand was kind of inside my left one, almost like you're taking communion at mass or whatever. And it nails me straight in the middle of the palm, which you can't see great on some of the videos. But my hand is like nice and bruised. And if you press like right here, it's just real, real tender. Oh, and that's after icing it last night and taking some acetaminophen or Advil, ibuprofen, whatever it is. And I couldn't believe that I had a chance at redemption for the Springer home run. And this ball hits me right in the hands and I drop it. Someone who loves baseball, someone who played growing up most of his life. I played club ball in college. I played, 2 years in high school. And, something like that, just it's my luck. And everyone would kind of tell you that. And they're like, that's just too funny. Like that would happen to you. And my family's sending me texts. My friends are sending me texts. They're like, I'm already a meme. I'm already a GIF. And, they're making jokes and they're like, Austin, nice feet for hands. And where'd you get those cinder blocks and all that kind of stuff? And I definitely over embellished when I was like upset about dropping it. I was sad that I dropped it because I don't think I'll ever have another opportunity like that. I'll bring a glove every game from now on, but I don't think a ball is going to be hit to me, a walk-off grand slam, let alone, from a future Hall of Famer. And it was just too funny. And the ball guy, he runs all the way from the corner, grabs it, but then goes back to his corner and kind of tosses it, hopefully to a kid over in the stands. But I couldn't believe he didn't throw it back up to me. No, none of the staff came to really check on me or anything like that. I was kind of surprised by that, just because usually they're like, are you sure you're okay? I'm like, I didn't think I broke my hand. My girlfriend's like, your hand is shaking. And I'm like, it's probably adrenaline. Like it hurt, but not as bad as losing out on that. But it was just so cool that so many people have been hitting me up the past couple of days. Like, was that you? Or, oh my gosh, dude, I didn't realize that was you the first 10 times I watched it. I feel so bad.
Wow. I mean, in itself, like a walk-off home, I was looking at the stats today, like a walk-off grand slam in that sense. I think that's only been done about like 200 times dating back to like the 1870s when they first kept track of that and stuff.
And as someone who's obsessed with baseball stats, that makes it worse. That hurts even worse now. But yeah, it's kind of funny. I grew up, memorizing the stats on the back of baseball cards and quizzing my stepdad over it. And now I got my master's, graduate certificate emphasizing in data analytics. And I think that was a big part of why I did that. That's crazy. I think it was Goldschmidt's 7th walk-off homer, and I think his 7th grand slam at the same time, I believe.
Lucky number 7.
Right? And he's just been so hot lately. I keep telling everyone, I'm like, I feel like he just hits doubles and home runs nonstop these days. Just extra base hit machine. And then the Cardinals are just so fun right now. All the young guys, and then the nostalgia of like Yachty and Waino and Pujols, but calling up like Yepes and Gorman and all those guys. So after the game, I actually, after the game, I'll sometimes try and wait and get a picture and autograph of a star player or something like that. And I got to meet Ivan Herrera, who I'm really excited to see. And then I met Nolan Gorman and Matthew Liberatore. They were together. So that was really cool. That kind of made up for it. They signed a ball for me and took a picture with me. And Nolan found out I was the guy that dropped the Goldie homer. And he's like, oh, that was you? He's like, oh, man. I was like, yep, that was me.
At that time, obviously, it's a great moment for Goldschmidt, a fun moment at the stadium. And then for you, there's kind of a little bit of agony in that moment.
Bittersweet, yeah.
And what's kind of like that roller coaster emotions like right there when Goldschmidt hit that?
Like time kind of froze for a second at first when he hit it, because you hear that crack and you're like, that was hit hard. Like, right away. And I was like, holy crap, this is coming our way again. It's going to be close. And yeah, just pure excitement. And I'm like, oh, don't screw this one up. In my head already, like, don't, you have another chance. And yeah, just also other than just trying to catch the ball, I'm like, you need to get in front of her and, protect your girlfriend. So, I mean, I stood in front of her. I don't know if it would have cleared the railing because I had to reach over, but it's, it still maybe could have gone through the railing at that, the between the bars. I'm not sure, but a lot of people are like, yeah, I couldn't tell it hit your hand. And I screen recorded it, put it in slow-mo and Snapchat and sent it to them. And they're like, yeah, that hit you square right in the palm. And it just hit me so hard. I couldn't squeeze fast enough. It was insane.
Oh, man.
So yeah, someone's like, you need your catcher's glove. All my family and everyone's just, they're like, that's so cool though. And it is, it's a story that I'm going to have that I'm going to tell everyone about all the time. So not having the ball stinks, especially as someone who's a collector, but having that story is worth so much more.
Absolutely. It's always about the memories when you're going to the ballpark, not necessarily like,
Yep.
For all the time, but, just kind of like how you connect with the team and
Oh yeah,
like that. I'm kind of curious too. Have you ever been in a position before where you've been able to catch a home run ball in the game?
never. So I go to batting practice when I can. They kind of reduced it the past few years. I don't know if it's because of COVID or it happened when I went away to school, but now it's usually you catch like the later half of the other team's batting practice during the week. And then yesterday I didn't get there early enough, but during batting practice, I'll get like maybe some of the bullpen people will throw a ball up here and there. And my rule of thumb mostly for myself is like, if I get 3, I give 3 to kids around me. And then if I get anything after that, depending on what it is, I'll hold on to it. So never, not a foul ball, not a home run, not a batting practice home run, nothing. That was, I've been to a lot of games, but I remember growing up, my mom and my brother and me, we'd get like the Pujols 5-pack. We were always in like the nosebleeds. I'm like, we're never going to get a foul ball. It's 400 feet in way right field past the pole. But no, I've had the opportunity to make some good games and go see some really good baseball for honestly reasonable prices. They've got that first pitch ticket. That's pretty cool. You could get like 2 tickets for $11 if you're early enough. I couldn't believe it. Those seats were like $20 a pop, I think. Parking was $20, and I had all that taken care of beforehand. And those moments are just priceless.
And how cool is it too that it could have been anyone hitting the ball over there, but like George Springer, Paul Goldschmidt, 2 guys,
right?
Not Hall of Famers, like really good players in their careers,
right? Like
some
of the top players I've seen in person. It's just absolutely incredible. The George Springer one, I was so upset at first because I'm like, it's George Springer. They're a handful of Blue Jays I wouldn't mind getting a home run from, any of them. But like George Springer, Vladdy, Bo. I'm a big fan of Teoscar Hernandez. He's not playing super great, but I like the guy. He's helped my fantasy team 2 years in a row.
Great lineup.
Yeah, it's just they're a fun team to watch. And then seeing some of the pitchers, like when I was down by the bullpen right before the game started, just Barrios can throw pitches that look like, wiffle balls. And then Alek Manoah is just a beast, and he's still so young. And Kevin Gausman, Cy Young candidate who just is so good. One of the top probably 15 pitchers in the league. Just a really talented club and really fortunate to see him. And I love their uniforms. The Cardinals have the best uniform in baseball, but the Toronto Blue Jays, those light blue uniforms are pretty cool too.
Yeah, they really mixed them up a little bit tonight. They kind of went back to the powder blues for a little bit too. So
yep.
Cool.
So I like George Springer too because he's an advocate for people with different abilities or disabilities because he had a lisp or a speech impediment growing up. I know that. One of my good buddies actually told me about that because he grew up with a speech impediment and he found a lot of inspiration in him. And we joined the same fraternity based on the fact that they founded their own philanthropy for people with disabilities. But at the end of the day, these are the best athletes in the history of the sport, and they're only going to get better. But it's really cool for me as a fan.
How's your hand feeling after all of that?
It's pretty sore still. It's still pretty sore. My girlfriend was like, oh, I didn't even think about the fact you work on your computer and use your hands to type and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'll be fine. But yeah, it was pretty sore. It was really red and swollen, and I just kind of iced it a little bit after when I got home, and like I said, took a Tylenol or whatever, and the swelling went down. But I think my pride and ego are definitely hurt more. I was kind of surprised for how hard those were hit and how fast they came at me. I'm happy I don't have broken fingers or anything like that, or I didn't, have it land near me and I spill my beer all over the people next to me or something crazy like that.
For sure, for sure. Well, I'd seen a stat. I don't know if you had followed this from. It was maybe just about this time last week that the Astros were playing the Red Sox, and then they had one.
Yep.
It was an inning, and they had two guys hit to the same
Yep.
person and stuff.
Yep.
Too.
So I told my girlfriend about that when we were walking to our seats when we first got to the stadium. I was telling her about that story, and I was like, "How crazy is that? The odds. The guy catches two." So then later on Twitter, I was like, kudos to that guy because he actually came down with both of them, whereas I had both of them hit directly to me and didn't end up with either of them. So because I know one of them kind of bounced a little bit, and he turned around and was ready for the catch. Because I was telling her, if it hits Big Mac or up above us, it'll fall down. So like you need to pay attention. I don't want you to get hit on a ricochet or anything like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then where does it? I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, is really cool story and stuff. Where does that rank for you in terms of like Cardinal games you've been to and like some memories? Might be kind of hard to recall everything that you've done, but like, just to have an experience like that at the game where you were so close and.
Honestly, that's got to be number one. Probably I think that's the best game I've ever been to. The best outcome. I think at one point I was maybe at a game where Randall Grichuk might have hit a walk-off homer or something like that. Maybe even probably not a grand slam, but like a walk-off homer or something. And then I went to a game, I think, pretty early in Clayton Kershaw's career where we beat him, and that was pretty cool. And the Dodgers had a lot of really cool stars at the time. Like maybe, I can't remember if Manny Ramirez was on the team or not, but that ranks first for me. I mean, in Pujols, I've been to the games where Pujols homers when he comes back to town. And that was the guy I grew up idolizing. I wore number 5. I've still got his jersey. It didn't fit me until I was a grown adult. But that is insane. The best first baseman I had ever seen growing up was Albert Pujols. And then the next wave was like Paul Goldschmidt, maybe Anthony Rizzo, maybe like those cornerstone duos of like Rizzo and Bryant, and then Goldschmidt and Arenado. But Arenado is my current favorite player. So the fact that my 2 favorite players in my lifetime are on the same team is insane. And then, when the Angels came in town and Pujols homered, my buddy threw out the first pitch to him. My buddy's brother, who I consider, we're friends, but we're not like, we don't hang out or anything. But he has Down syndrome, and he got to throw out the first pitch for Pujols, and that was pretty cool. And I remember thinking, I see Pujols, Trout, and Ohtani, maybe the 3 best players of my lifetime all in one field. So I think that one's second, and I think the walk-off grand slam is first. That was pretty insane. And the fact that I got to, witness it with my girlfriend, that's only her second time at Busch Stadium.
Wow. And then I'm guessing for the future, especially if you go to those games in the outfield, you're going to have a glove ready, or think about that.
I'm going to have the glove. I'm going to bring, my normal glove, my catcher's glove too, maybe. Because that was more like a pitch. I caught some pretty hard throwing guys in college when I played club baseball. But that came in hot. I think the Springer one, I saw a StatCast visual that my stepdad sent me, and he's like, "Oh, I already found you." He watched the Goldschmidt Grand Slam live. So when I texted him, he was like, "I already knew." And but the other one, he sent me a picture, and I think it said like hang time was like 3 seconds, maybe a little more. And that just is crazy because it's not one of those that, it goes up in the air and then it falls down to a fan. It wasn't a moonshot skyscraper or anything like that. Those were line drive laser beams. And I'm just glad no one got hurt too, because I was really bummed when they put up all the nets as someone who wants to catch a foul ball. But then the last game I was at, I saw a fan get struck in the head right on the other side of the net. And that's pretty scary because these guys, they can throw harder and hit harder than ever, and that can do some damage, even if you are paying attention. So just fortunate no one got hurt either.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think, just kind of looking back at it, do you think glove would have made a difference on either of those two homers?
Yeah. Yep. Yep, I would have 2 baseballs. I would have 2 home run balls. I would have given the Springer one to a kid around me once I caught the Goldschmidt one. If I caught the Springer one, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd like to say I would give it to a kid, even if I just got the Springer one, but I'm such a big nerd and collector. I don't know. I don't know. It'd have to be an in the moment thing, probably.
Absolutely. And then once that would happen too, I mean, you never know. So
Yeah. The guy who caught the Springer one came up to me after the Goldschmidt one. And he's like, "Oh man, if you would have caught that one, I would have given you the Springer one back too." And I was like, "Oh, you're good, man. No, you're good." So
wow. Just kind of curious, I won't keep you too much longer, but like, what were some of the conversations, with fans of the ballpark like, and then like maybe with family, if you're seeing some things on social media and stuff too,
yeah,
like, right as all that was going on.
yeah. So honestly, the people around me, I think the 2 gentlemen to my right were kind of talking to me about it, and they're like, "Oh man, we just kind of got out of the way because that was coming in hot. And we didn't play baseball growing up." And I was like, thinking as a shorter guy, it's always I'm around tall people are in front of me, they'll jump and catch it. But no, people just got out of the way, and the 2 guys to my left had gloves and they were kind of mumbling, but the 2 people behind me were mumbling. And like, I specifically remember the guy being like, "If that guy wasn't there, I probably would have caught those." And I was like, I don't know, dude, you would have had to lunge real far forward if I had to lunge forward. But then I went to the Authentics team store. There's a couple gentlemen in there I love having conversations with. And I told them about it. And they were like, "Oh, no." They're like, "That's crazy, but you get this cool story." And I was like, "Yeah." They couldn't believe the ball guy didn't throw it up to me. I was like, "Yeah, I know. I don't know." But yeah, like I said, I mean, I hope a kid got it. That's a cool ball either way. I was like wondering, I was like, man, if I got a chance to meet Goldie one day, I'm gonna tell him that story. Same with Springer. You're like, "Yeah, I don't know if you ever saw the video clip, but I dropped that."
Wow, that's wild. Well, anything else that you wanted to, share with me about, that cool of that awesome of the moment that you had with those 2 balls that came by you, or any other, cool connection with that and the Cardinals, or
Yeah. So what's kind of funny is another reason I really wanted to go was I realized that it was Fans Fight Cancer Night. And I had lost my grandpa a couple years ago to cancer. And right, after he passed, the Blues won the Stanley Cup, and him and his best friend Angelo had season tickets to Blues games. And they were like 4 rows up behind the goal, and they would go to most of the games, every home game that they could. And they ended up winning the Stanley Cup. And then his best friend Angelo just recently passed from cancer. And right after he passed, I saw a couple of Cardinals when I've been walking the dogs like pretty frequently at our dog park. Like I even saw one earlier today. And, I think those 2 guys would have just gotten a kick out of that whole thing, or maybe they have something to do with it because they love baseball. They love Cardinals. They love St. Louis sports. And, I think they had a good seat in the house and were just cracking up, or maybe they had something to do with it and wanted to see if I could catch it without bringing my gloves, since I thought I was such a big, strong man. But yeah, I wanted to go to support them too, because, cancer is just awful. And I really love those 2 guys, and they played a big part of my life.